Let's take a look at how students will access the KITE client in order to take their state assessments, but first of all, looking at a practice test. When students access their laptops and turn them on, at the bottom of their screen, down here in the center portion, the old KCA icon that looks like this will be there. They will click on that KCA icon, which will take them to the next screen, and they'll have at the bottom of their screen the KITE client. They'll click on the KITE client, and that will give them access to this screen. Now they're into the KITE system. We're going to choose other assessments, and for the sake of this particular demonstration, we're going to do a practice test. And the PDF that I sent you has this information on it on the first page under number 3. So the username is practice.elementary.demo and the password is job85. They will click sign in, and then we're going to take a practice test. Now when it gets time to take the real test, they'll go here to take a test, but we're going to do a practice test. They can practice in math, and they can practice in English language arts. For the purpose of demonstrating this, we're going to take an English language arts practice test. I would read through these instructions with the students. In fact, it's fine if you go ahead and project this, use a student laptop, project it, and take them through all of this so that they see all of these instructions. This first paragraph is important for you to know because it indicates that the Kansas Transitional Summative Assessment is not going to be exactly like the test that you're going to go through now, in terms of the difficulty especially. Once you've gone through those general directions with the student, you'll click Begin, and this is what their assessment begins to look like. And here's question 1. And you'll notice that over here to the left, there are some tools. Not all of these tools are working consistently. This is the cursor, which allows them to select. There's the highlighter. Sometimes this works, sometimes it does not. It just kind of depends. Typically, when you go over to the eraser, then right now that is gone. So not sure why that's not working the way it should. We'll have to just see what happens with that as time goes on. Down here in this lower section, sometimes that cursor works and sometimes the highlighter works, sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends. But as so we'll just have to play with that, and hopefully students will be able to use that as we move on. So here's question 1. A student is writing a report about hermit crabs. Read the paragraph and choose the one word that does not fit the purpose and audience. We're going to go back to our chooser, and as we look at this, it says hermit crabs are funky animals. They do not live in shells they grew themselves. Instead, they find old shells and live in them. When they grow bigger, they move to another bigger shell. My thinking is that the word funky is the one that isn't necessarily needed, and so I'm going to click on funky, and that's my answer. I'm choosing my answer just like that. I go to next. If I want to rethink about this one, I go up here to the flag and click on the flag, and then that flag is question 1. We'll move on to question 2. Amelia is writing a story. One of the sentences has 2 errors in grammar. Read the sentences and choose the 2 errors. So what we'll do is we'll look at what is wrong in that sentence. We'll choose our choices, and we'll move on. Will is writing a report about going to the zoo. He needs to use facts instead of opinions. Read the sentences from the report and sort each sentence to show whether it is a fact or opinion. Notice how they are no longer A, B, C, D choices, but the students actually actively engage in moving the information around. Click Next. Harlan is writing a paragraph about making friends. In this case, the paragraph is missing a beginning sentence, and he has the opportunity to choose between those 2 sentences to see which one fits best. Move on to question 4, writing a report about a famous artist. In this case, the student taking the test chooses between paints, painted, painter, and painting to see how that best fits in that sentence. Number 6, read the description of the tree. And so they'll read, and then they're going to actually manipulate, move, and put these words in place. You probably just notice that the screen does move around a little bit as you're going through. That's just part of the way the system is set up. Number 7, Marnie is writing a story for class. These sentences are out of order. So what the student will do on this one is actually just move those sentences to where they're in the correct order, and then once they put them in the order that makes sense, they'll click next and move on. Then you'll notice the last screen shows that I have number 1. I flagged that, so I'm going to go back to number 1. I'm going to double check what I did there. Yep, I think funky's the right answer. I'm going to unflag it. I'm going to go back to my review and end. I notice I have all green check marks, so I'm going to end my assessment. It asks me again if I'm going to end it, and I am out. At this point, you're going to want to have students sign out of the assessment, and then they can close the KITE. That's the elementary version.